It was written by someone, that much is certain. Carbon dating places the vellum it was written on between 1404 and 1438. The ink is consistent with that period. The handwriting is confident and fluid. Someone who knew exactly what they were writing. 400 pages, hundreds of detailed illustrations, and not a single word. In 600 years of effort by some of the world's best cryptographers, linguists, and code breakers, has ever been translated. The Voynich Manuscript is not the only object on this list that arrived from the past with no explanation attached. It is not even the strangest. An artifact is a physical object, something that can be held, measured, tested, and dated. Unlike legends or oral histories, an artifact cannot be dismissed. It is either real or it is not. Every object on this list is real. Everyone has been examined by researchers using the best available technology, and everyone has produced the same result. No satisfying explanation. These are 6 ancient artifacts that no one can explain. In 1912, a rare book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich purchased a collection of manuscripts from a Jesuit college in Italy. Among them was a handwritten book, approximately 240 pages long, illustrated throughout with drawings of plants, astronomical diagrams, human figures bathing in green liquid, and what appeared to be cosmological charts. Every word in the book was written in a script no one had ever seen before. The manuscript passed through the hands of successive owners, each one convinced they could crack it. Emperor Rudolph II of the Holy Roman Empire reportedly paid 600 gold ducats for it in the early 1600s, believing it to be the work of the medieval philosopher Roger Bacon. It eventually reached Yale University's Beinica Library, where it remains today. Carbon dating in 2009 confirmed the vellum dates to between 1404 and 1438. The ink and pigments are consistent with that period. The manuscript is genuinely medieval. It is not a modern forgery. The handwriting analysis suggests a single confident author who wrote quickly and without hesitation, suggesting someone writing in a language they knew fluently. The text has statistical properties consistent with natural language. It is not random characters. Something is encoded in it. Nobody knows what. The code breakers who worked at Bletchley Park during the Second World War, people who cracked the Enigma machine, attempted the Voynich Manuscript. They failed. The American National Security Agency has studied it. They failed. In 2019, a British academic announced he had decoded it as a form of Proto-Romance language. His translation was rejected by the broader academic community within weeks. As of today, not a single word of the Voynich Manuscript has been translated to the satisfaction of the research community. 3 possible explanations exist. It is an elaborate hoax, a medieval forgery created to sell to a credulous buyer. It is a natural language written in an otherwise unknown script. Or it is an artificially constructed language, a code or cipher of a type that has not yet been broken. Each theory has serious problems. The hoax theory struggles to explain why a forger would invest in 400 pages of internally consistent, botanical and astronomical illustration with no payoff. The unknown language theory requires a complete language to have left 0 other trace. The cipher theory has resisted 600 years of the world's best cryptographers. The Shroud of Turin is a 14-foot linen cloth that bears the image of a crucified man, front and back, head to foot, as if the cloth had been laid over a body and folded. The image shows wounds consistent with crucifixion, nail marks at the wrists and feet, lacerations consistent with a crown of thorns, a wound in the side consistent with a spear, and scourge marks across the back, and legs consistent with Roman flagellation. It has been the subject of more scientific investigation than any other artifact in history, and after decades of research, using the most advanced imaging and forensic technology available, the scientific community is divided on 2 questions. How old is it, and how was the image made? In 1988, radiocarbon dating of a small sample of the shroud placed its origin between 1260 and 1390 AD, medieval, and therefore not the burial cloth of a 1st century figure. Case closed, many declared, but subsequent research complicated that conclusion. The sample taken in 1988 came from a corner of the cloth that textile experts and later carbon dating studies identified as a medieval repair patch, rewoven into the original cloth at debris at some point during the medieval period. Multiple researchers have argued that the 1988 sample was not representative of the original cloth. The more persistent mystery is the image itself. Forensic analysis has established several properties of the shroud image that no known medieval or modern technique can fully reproduce. The image is superficial. It exists only in the very top two fibrils of the linen threads, a depth of approximately 200 nanometers. It did not penetrate the cloth. There is no paint, no dye, no pigment in the image area. The discoloration is a chemical change in the cellulose of the linen itself, similar to the yellowing that occurs from oxidation or heat. The image contains no directionality, no brush strokes, no application direction, nothing that indicates how it was applied to the cloth. Most remarkably, when the image density of the shroud is mapped and converted into three-dimensional relief data, a process developed by NASA image processing scientists in 1976. It produces an accurate three-dimensional representation of a human face and body. A painted image contains no three-dimensional information. A photograph contains no three-dimensional information. The shroud's image density encodes spatial distance data as if the cloth had been in contact with a three-dimensional object that produced the image through some form of radiation. No artist in any century has been able to produce a forgery of the shroud that replicates all of these properties simultaneously. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral and cartographer named Piri Reis compiled a world map using, by his own account, approximately 20 source maps, some of them ancient, some captured from European explorers. The map survived in a single fragment, discovered in the Topkapi Palace in 1929. The map is accurate, strikingly accurate for 1513. The coastlines of Europe, Africa, and the newly discovered Americas are depicted with a precision that was remarkable for the period, but it was the bottom of the map that created a controversy that has never been fully resolved. At the bottom of the Piri Reis Map is a landmass that bears a striking resemblance to the coastline of Antarctica, a continent that was not officially discovered until 1820, 307 years after the map was drawn. What made the comparison more specific was a U.S. Air Force study conducted in 1960. Captain Lorenzo Burrows of the Strategic Air Command compared the Piri Reis coastline with modern seismic survey maps of Antarctica's subglacial coastline, the shape of the continent beneath the ice sheet that has covered it for approximately 6,000 years. Burrows concluded that the Piri Reis coastline matched the subglacial Antarctic coast with a degree of accuracy that was, in his words, beyond what could be attributed to coincidence. The ice-free coastline of Antarctica, the coastline as it would have appeared before the ice sheet formed, was not mapped by modern science until the 1950s seismic survey program. It appears on a map drawn in 1513 from sources that Piri Reis himself described as ancient. The mainstream academic response is that the southern landmass on the Piri Reis map is a misidentification, a distortion of South America's tip, or a representation of the theoretical southern continent that ancient and medieval scholars believed must exist to balance the northern landmasses. This is a reasonable position. What it does not fully account for is the subglacial coastline correlation, which requires either an extraordinary coincidence or the existence of source maps made when Antarctica's coast was last ice-free, which geological evidence places at approximately 6,000 years ago. Across museum collections in London, Paris, Washington, and Mexico City, there are at least 13 life-size crystal human skulls. Each one is carved from a single piece of quartz crystal. Each one is anatomically detailed, accurate skull structure, defined teeth, carved eye sockets, and several of them share a property that has no straightforward explanation. They were carved against the natural axis of the crystal. Quartz crystal has a natural grain. Like wood, it has a direction along which it is easiest to work, and a direction along which it will crack under pressure. Carving against the grain of quartz with sufficient precision to produce a detailed human skull without shattering the crystal requires either extraordinary skill and patience over many years, or tools and methods that produce no stress fractures in the crystal. Analysis of several of the most prominent skulls has found no tool marks on the surface, none of the microscopic scratches that any known carving tool, including modern diamond-tipped equipment, leaves on quartz. The most famous example, the Mitchell-Hedges skull, currently in private ownership in Canada, was subjected to analysis by Hewlett-Packard's Crystal Laboratory in 1970. The HP researchers found that the skull had been carved against the natural axis of the crystal. They also found that the skull's optical properties were extraordinary. Light entering from the base of the skull is channeled through the crystal and exits through the eye sockets, creating an effect that would cause the eyes to glow if a light source was placed beneath the skull. The HP researchers concluded that by any modern standard, the skull should not have been possible to make. Their report stated, "We cannot determine how it was done." The provenance of the crystal skulls is genuinely contested. Several examples that appeared in the 19th and early 20th centuries have been shown through modern analysis to have been worked with modern tools. They are likely 19th century fakes sold to collectors as ancient, but a smaller number of skulls, including the Mitchell-Hedges example, have resisted this explanation. Their dating remains uncertain, their manufacture remains unexplained, and their origin remains unknown. In 1938, a Chinese archaeologist named Chi Pu-te led an expedition into a remote cave system in the Biancarola Mountains on the China-Tibet border. Inside the caves, the team found rows of graves containing small skeletal remains with unusually large skulls. And on the cave walls and floor, 716 stone discs, each approximately 30 centimeters in diameter with a hole in the center, resembling in shape a gramophone record. The discs were made from granite, an unusually hard material to work into precise disc shapes. Each disc had a spiral groove running from the central hole to the outer edge. When the grooves were examined under magnification, they appeared to contain a series of tiny hieroglyphic characters, too small to read with the naked eye. 20 years after their discovery, a professor named Tsum Umnui at the Beijing Academy of Prehistory claimed to have decoded the script. His findings were suppressed by the Academy and he was forbidden to publish. He eventually published in Japan. According to Tsum Umnui's account, which has been disputed but not definitively debunked, the script on the discs told the story of a group of beings who crash-landed in the mountains 12,000 years ago and were unable to repair their vessel. Whether this account is accurate, fabricated, or a misinterpretation cannot currently be determined. The reason it cannot be determined is the most troubling aspect of the entire story. The Dropa Stones have disappeared. Several of the discs were sent to the Soviet Union for analysis in the 1960s. Soviet researchers reportedly found that the stones had an unusually high cobalt content, and that when placed on a turntable and subjected to an oscillating electrical field, they vibrated at a specific frequency, as if they carried an electrical charge. After that report, the trail goes cold. The discs are not in any publicly accessible museum collection. Their current location is unknown. Photographs and second-hand accounts are all that remain. "7,000 years ago, in the river valleys of ancient Mesopotamia, the region that would eventually become Sumer, Babylon, and the first urban civilizations on Earth, a people called the Ubaid were producing remarkable pottery and beginning to build the first true cities. They were also producing something else that archaeologists have never satisfactorily explained. Ubaid culture sites across a wide geographic area have yielded a specific type of ceramic figurine, humanoid in form but with features that are distinctly non-human, elongated heads, almond-shaped eyes, long, narrow faces with what appear to be reptilian snouts. Some figurines appear to be wearing helmets, others appear to be nursing infants. The mother and child figurines in particular are deeply strange. The pose is unmistakably human and tender, but the faces of both mother and child are consistently reptilian. What makes the Ubaid figurines more than a curiosity is their consistency. These figures have been found at sites separated by hundreds of kilometers across the Ubaid cultural sphere. The same elongated skull shape, the same eye configuration, the same facial structure, across different communities, different settlements, different centuries of the Ubaid period. The same figure appears again and again. This is not random artistic variation. This is a consistent representation of something specific, something the Ubaid people apparently considered important and enough to depict repeatedly, carefully, and consistently across their entire cultural area. What were they depicting? The theories range from the straightforward to the deeply speculative. They may represent priests or shamans wearing ritual masks. They may be depictions of a specific deity or mythological being from Ubaid belief. The elongated skulls may reflect a practice of cranial deformation, wrapping infants' heads to produce elongated skull shapes, which is documented in other ancient cultures. Or they may be exactly what they appear to be, consistent depictions of beings with non-human physical characteristics, produced by a culture 7,000 years ago that apparently encountered something they felt compelled to record in clay. No Ubaid text survives. Their writing system, if they had one, has not been found. The figurines speak without words, and what they are saying after 7,000 years remains genuinely open. 6 artifacts, 6 objects that exist, that have been tested, and that have no complete explanation. The Voynich Manuscript, 400 pages of confident, fluent writing in a script that 600 years of cryptographers have not decoded. The Shroud of Turin, a linen cloth whose image encodes 3-dimensional spatial data, using a mechanism that no known technique in any century can replicate. The Piri Reis Map, a 1513 map that depicts the ice-free coastline of a continent that wasn't discovered for another 300 years. The crystal skulls, quartz carvings with no tool marks, made against the natural axis of the crystal, using a method that Hewlett-Packard's own laboratory said they could not determine. The Dropa Stones, 716 stone discs with microscopic spiral script, sent for Soviet analysis in the 1960s and not seen since. And the Ubaid Lizardmen, 7,000-year-old figurines depicting the same non-human face, consistently, across an entire ancient culture, for reasons that died with the people who made them. Every artifact on this list is real. Everyone has been studied. None of them have given up everything they know. Next, 6 buried ruins that changed everything we know. Sites discovered that rewrote history the moment the first stone was uncovered. That video is linked above. We will see you there.